with regards to streaming, would we return to it? Yes, but I think it would literally just be for fun. Like, I think it'd be for fun to catch up with friends, to game with friends. I can't see us anytime soon return to streaming as something that we would want to make a career. If I'm being honest, just because we have way more fun doing the YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's just down to that. Maybe once we build a community on YouTube, we'd probably look at branching out to Twitch, but I don't think that'd ever be our priority. I think even if we were going to stream, we probably would stick with YouTube.
Stream on YouTube?
Yeah, and potentially YouTube. Look at that. There's still a couple of things that they do need to do to expand it, but I don't know if Twitch has got this, but like a really good feature on YouTube is you can create thumbnails for your stream, which can sound like a bit of a ball ache that you'd have to do every single time. But if you're doing Dead by Daylight, you're doing Final Fantasy, and you're doing Warzone, you could have 3 separate thumbnails that you could upload, and it's just something a bit different that to look at. But yeah, potentially later on down the line we may look at it, but for now I think we'll probably stick to reaction, but we're going to branch off eventually. It won't just be music. We'll look at doing, like you said, some of the funny videos, some of the fail videos, and then other things, and then there's so much you could potentially do. I don't want to we're looking at it's a balance, isn't it? We're trying to build the community, but you don't want to pigeonhole yourself too much in that sense. So I think once we get comfortable with, because these videos are easy to make, they're surprisingly hard to edit and make interesting, but it's good practice basically. And then later on down the line, YouTube's a lot easier to expand content than it is on Twitch, because you're relying on the same people returning on Twitch, and if you make a drastic change, it's very hard to then transfer over. Whereas YouTube, there's a lot more discoverability. So if we do decide that we want to randomly change our content, yes, our subscribers won't be notified, but to be honest, I don't know how much into the analytics you are, but for ours, I think it's 97 and 3 with regards to not subscribed and subscribed who watch our videos. So that's showing the level of discoverability. Whereas if you look at our streams, let's say I'd probably hazard a guess that it's 85% of people that are notified by following you that you're live.
Like flipped, yeah.
As opposed to, I'd say it's completely different, and quite heavily different as well. I'd probably say it's less people that are discovering you as a new viewer, as opposed to just people getting notified that are currently following you that you're live. So you can take a lot more risks on YouTube than you can on Twitch, I think.
With YouTube, it's interesting too, because you're almost making content for like the algorithm, so it can push that discoverability. Whereas with Twitch, if you grow a particular audience, Twitch almost feels like YouTube without the recommended algorithm to it. It's like just the subscription feed, and you're relying entirely on that. And that's something I think Twitch has failed massively at in comparison to YouTube, is they don't really have much of an algorithm aside from the little recommended box that 99% of people don't ever really use. That feature on YouTube, the recommended, being at the forefront of the algorithm, being able to show your video to people 97% who are not even subscribed but will still watch it, still like it, maybe comment on it, and then maybe turn them into subscribers. That's one of the biggest strengths, if not the biggest strength of YouTube. So
100%. Yeah, it's sad, but I do like numbers. I just like analyzing the numbers as well, and that was the main thing that stood out to me. Is like, wow, it's 97% of people that aren't subscribed. It shows that you can take a bit of risks with regards to that, because there is a discoverability element of it.
When there's been times where I've thought back, like, because I started streaming right when the pandemic time happened, lockdown happened, all of that stuff. I know a lot of people I've talked to, that was kind of their moment to try YouTube or try Twitch. And there was a part of me sometimes where I'm like, what if I never did Twitch and instead put all that time and energy into YouTube? Like, how much different would have the experience have been, you know?
But my only caveat with that, I feel like we are a lot more comfortable on camera, because YouTube is, I think if we started doing YouTube before we went on Twitch, we probably wouldn't be where we are now, because Twitch, at least you talk to people, so you can develop that skill. Yes, now and again when the chat aren't there, you still have to be able to obviously communicate as if you're talking to someone. But I don't know, I feel our interpersonal skills have developed a lot on Twitch. That's one thing I can't fault, is obviously I think we've grown massively from streaming with regards to entertainment purposes and things like that.
It's just given me like a confidence in like even in my real life as well, like my telephone mannerisms. So basically my childhood best friend moved to Scotland a few years ago, and I spoke to her, to be fair, not even all that long ago, and she said to me that I'll be honest with where we live is very common, so we miss words out and mispronounce things, blah 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 blah, and she was like, you seem a lot different, like you're a lot more confident in the way that you speak, and it's not all, I don't sound like where we're from, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because of you as well, but yeah, it's giving me like a confidence in work on telephone and stuff. So
maybe not using as much of the ums or the pauses in the sentences.
She uses ums. It's an absolute fucking no. It's an absolute nightmare to edit.
Like British
what you see on what you see on the YouTube video is not what she is like. Trust me.
Cut.
Oh, the amount of ums you say and and like honestly, the cuts are unreal with Shannon.
I've tried that myself, like re-listening back specifically to the like podcast episodes I've done. I've tried very hard to consciously pay attention to those ums. I mean, we all do it. We all pause. Yeah, but it's interesting because I very much feel the same way, Shannon. Like streaming, being live for so long, that's a big difference between Twitch and YouTube, or I should say live streaming versus making curated content. Is you're live for hours and hours and hours on end, whether you are chatting constantly with people or chatting amongst yourself, versus when you're doing a YouTube video, it's much more, you're kind of talking at specific points, and then when you put that into the editor, you can just cut everything up so it's one continuous flow and it sounds perfect and fast-paced and timed and entertaining and like attention grabbing. So I do agree. I've had some friends as well say, at least for myself personally, that I sound more confident, more open, more communicative. So do you kind of feel similar, Connell?
Yeah, what's weird is my biggest fear is public speaking. I hate it. I hate standing up in front of people and talking, and like I even hated having a camera in front of me, like having photos taken and things like that.
I'll be honest with you, Zeph, not even like just because of this. I feel like when I first got with Connell completely lacked in confidence, and there's obviously stuff behind the scenes that you've been through, that we've been through, and I understand why you feel that way, and I feel like you wouldn't be who you are today if we hadn't been streaming.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
Like you really lacked in confidence when we first got together. Like doubted everything. You never felt nice.
It does.
And Connor was very skinny when we first got together as well. And I felt like you were very. I mean, I always thought you were really good looking anyway, so...
thank you.
But I mean, like a really good confidence in where you're at now.
No, definitely. And that's the only reason I brought that up, is because obviously you said, I wonder what it'd be like when you start YouTube, but do you think you'd still be as entertaining as you are if you started YouTube now? Maybe, because I know what you like as a person. You're a hard worker. You've naturally got that charisma about you anyway, but... let's be honest, streaming for 4 hours is a lot harder to do than to make not the process of editing, but like recording a YouTube video. Like the ideas and everything leading up to it is very hard, and the editing is very hard, but in terms of the actual video, like you said, you can make yourself look entertaining despite not being, if that makes sense, with really good editing or really good ideas or really good effects. When you're streaming, that's it. That's you're the one that has to entertain that whole time. There's no cuts, there's no breaks. That's literally, you're just there to entertain for those 4 hours, and that's a skill. That it literally is a skill. I feel like our content definitely wouldn't be as good if we hadn't have had that streaming process first. And I don't know, it may be different with you, but I feel like you must have developed some skills along the way that you can incorporate into your YouTube content.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure. Going through Twitch and talking to people constantly, hours on end, I feel like I've become a much better speaker and communicator that way. There's also the sense, though, I feel like with some people, it's easier to stream on Twitch than it is to think and plan out YouTube content per se. And I've thought of that myself, where like, what if instead of streaming for 5 days a week, what if I stream for 2 or 3 days a week and make YouTube content on the other days? And getting in that mindset, for me, it's kind of awkward and weird to like turn the camera on and to not have anybody there, and I'm just talking to like a blank camera. That's a little bit weirder or harder for me to grasp than chatting live with people in chat. So did it take a minute for you guys to kind of react to stuff and like look at the camera and there's like nobody quite right there, but you know, like down the road there's going to be people watching?
I'd be lying if I don't know what you felt like. I felt very awkward. The first YouTube video that we did, I felt very awkward.
It was really bad because I don't know if you remember the first YouTube we ever did. The first time that we did it, it was really strange for me because I could, although we kept being Gamers Inc. for I don't know how long, I kept saying his and hers gaming, and I don't know why.
That's 'cause you're nervous.
Yeah, I like shitting my son, and I was like, why am I shitting myself?
I had to stop it. I have. How do I describe it? It's sort of, I don't want to say false confidence, but like, I'm very much like, people say, oh, you're confident, and I'm like, that's funny because I'm absolutely shitting bricks, like behind the scenes sort of thing. But like, I had to say with Shannon, I was like, look, stop overthinking, just talk. Like literally, like, and that's one thing that's beautiful about like our relationship and our interactions and what we put on YouTube is like, we just because we're making a YouTube video, and I have to explain this to Shannon a little bit, doesn't mean we need to act like YouTubers. Like, we don't need to act like YouTubers because we're making a YouTube video.
Yourself.
Let's just talk. Exactly. Yeah. But I'll be honest as well. There is a bit, like you said, it is completely different because you're turning a video on. You've got no one else to react to, so you think, or interact to. Sorry, and you think, right, I need to act this certain way because this is what I watch, and it's like, no, that's what makes us different. So it did take us a while to be like, no, we don't need to script things. Like, yes, there's certain call to actions that you need to do, but just turn the video on and just talk.
Right.
Like, and I said that, Shannon, I was like, don't worry about talking too much or leaving gaps because that's what the editing's for. That's a beautiful thing about it. So if we fuck up, start again, talk, and it's so much easier now, isn't it? Like, thinking about it, like,
it's difficult with our dogs as well because they don't.
We have to put them away now, just the dogs.
The dogs, and it's like Brogan more.
Especially because of the amount of wires that we've got and everything.
It will literally just sit and be like, Mom, Mom,
yeah,
pay attention to me.
Mom.
Yeah.
I think I saw a TikTok you did of that. Yeah, where like you're sitting down ready to get the video going, and then the pups are just kind of running around behind you.
I can literally just sit there and go, and he walking on straight. He's yeah.
He needed pups.
Yeah. Bless him.
Yeah, it definitely was. I don't want to say a steep learning curve because it wasn't too bad, but the first video that we did, there was definitely nerves, there was definitely awkwardness. You learn by doing. You literally now. I don't get nervous. Do you with videos?
I don't get nervous. No, not really. No.
It just depends on the content as well.
The biggest thing about the nervousness for me is if I'm not gonna like it or not. Because if I don't like it, I can't tell my face to like it.
Yeah, but that's good. But again, reading through the comments, people are like, "Do you know what? I actually like the fact that you've said that you don't like it."
Yeah.
Like you're always gonna get people. You're always gonna get people that are gonna give you shit because you don't like what they like. But at the end of the day, you need to be different. Like. People, it doesn't matter if they don't like you or like you, if they're still watching you. That's the main thing, isn't it? Like, you're always going to have different opinions, and people see through stuff as well. Like, they know if you're bullshitting and you know if you're pretending or not. So it may work short term, but long term, you just end up making the same content over and over again. So
people appreciate that honesty too. Like when you're listening to something, as long as it's just not like, this is terrible, done, that's it. But if you're like, this wasn't for me, I mean, maybe I can appreciate this aspect of it and this was pretty good, but like overall this just wasn't for me. There will definitely be people who appreciate that honesty, because if you do 100 videos and every single one of them are like, I love this song, I love this band, it almost becomes like it like dilutes that actual love, that actual opinion. It starts to dilute it. So having those controversial or other-sided, maybe some of the fans will disagree with it, maybe they'll relate to it. It'll build that more genuinity, more genuine connection with the audience for sure.
Yeah, and it means you're not second guessing the content that you're putting out as well.
Right.
If you set the tone from early on, Like, you don't have to be like, oh no, I don't want to react to this, or oh no, I didn't like this, but I feel like I need to, it's just not us. Like, our things is our personality, so if we try and pretend to be something we're not, we're not going to make good content. It just doesn't work like that.
Absolutely.